This review is on the movie Force of Nature, The Dry Tooth. I'm the anger guy. I'm going to tell you like it is. First thing I want to admit, we both enjoy watching Eric Bana in good to great movies. No questions asked. Another item, we both love Australia and the people living there. At one time, we were thinking actually moving to Aussie country or maybe New Zealand. But Father Time got us. For a brief moment, let's take a trip back in the past to catch up with Aaron Falk, Eric Bana in the first movie, The Dry. He was and still is a federal police officer in Australia who solved a big case once, and news went all over the Federation. In the late film, The Dry, Falk's best friend's dad from Falk's hometown called him to help prove his son Luke did not kill his wife and one of their children. Falk was nervous about going back to his hometown because 20 years ago, Aaron was the town suspect for killing a young girl when he was a teenager. Some say the Dry was boring. I admit it did run a bit like dry dirt. I called it pounding the pavement type of film. The films The Dry and Force of Nature, The Dry 2, were written by Jane Harper. Also returning is Robert Conley, who directed The Dry and Force of Nature, The Dry 2. The film Force of Nature, The Dry 2 is about a remote corporate retreat located in a fictitious place called Giralang Range in Australia. It's a place to take people out of their comfort zone. It has advantages to help people work as a team member, help a person become a team leader, or make one member more adaptable to others. But some say it's also a good place to make someone disappear. Whoa, that's not too good, is it? Alice Russell works at Bailey tenants who are being investigated by the FBI. Falk is using Alice, Anna Torva, as a CI who works at Bailey tenants to find 12 files dealing with special clients that might incriminate the company. Alice is hesitant because Daniel Bailey, the owner, along with his wife, keeps those files and handles them themselves. Falk assures Alice if she does this, it will be the last time he will use her because the judge has already signed off for her immunity. The money that Bailey tenants creates helps hide millions every year, evade international sanctions, money laundering, and human trafficking, and making arms deals. Last time Falk spoke with Alice, she sounded scared. Carmen, Jacqueline McKenzie, Falk's partner, thinks she could have been faking. Falk thinks they maybe pushed her too hard. Later on, Falk was contacted and was told Alice has come up missing after a hiking trip in the Giralang Ranges. The 5 women did 8 or 9 hours of hard walking due north before they hit a Y in the road, which means that Alice has been on her own more than 30 hours. The officer in charge told Falk and Carmen for 1 square kilometer it would take about 4 hours in medium density bush, but much longer if it's steeper or thicker. They can't get a chopper in that area, but they are looking to find a hut the women found for refuge in which was the last place they saw Alice. Trying to sleep in a shack spooked the women because Kovac, a serial killer, committed all his murders in that same region. Some bodies were never found. The police knew it was his hut because outside the door there was a small grave with a skeleton of a dog laying there. Well, Kovac loved his dog. Like the first film, The Dry, there are 2 plot lines running at the same time in Force of Nature, The Dry 2. One is when Falk was a pre-teenager and went hiking with his mom and dad in the Giralang Ranges, and his mom came up missing. The other, the main plot line in The Dry 2, is about 5 women joined a hiking retreat, but only 4 came out of the woods. Federal agents Aaron Falk and Cameron Cooper head into the mountains, hoping to find the informant still alive. There were some problems with this film. The script was written in such a convoluted way, desperately trying to keep the audience's attention. But in reality, the script was simple with very little action. The small thread to hold anyone's attention was the question, what really happened to Alice? The only action scene in the film is when Robin McLeavy fell in while trying to fetch the wet topographic chart. Also, having two sets of sisters working at the same company was hard to believe. A hard fact to believe is when the police officer told Falk where Alice might be. Falk drives his Jeep to the location and walks in the rest of the way. Falk accidentally finds the half cabin where the serial killer Kovac resided at times during his killings, which the community and sheriff has been looking for 40 years. You say, what? During the film, two sisters were blaming each other and what happened to Alice. That's hard to believe. Another odd tidbit, Alice supposedly had an affair with Daniel Richard Roxborough, the owner of the company. That wasn't the worst of it. She borrowed $100,000 from him to place her daughter in a private school. So if she gets caught searching for those incriminated files, Richard and his wife would take care of her and take care of her daughter because they would know exactly where she would be for 9 months out of the year. Out of an Outback score, I give The Force of Nature Dry 2 a C-. I do not recommend watching this movie, even if you found the CD movie in a yard sale buried in a water-stained cardboard box marked free. How can I put this gently? This movie is boring as hell. It's a shame because I can't imagine all the work for the crew to set each scene up in the semi-dark, beautiful forest. The storyline placed breadcrumbs throughout the film to make the audience think what really happened to Alice. I even thought at one time Falk may have done it because of his past when he was a teenager. Thank you for subscribing. Appreciate you viewing and value your comments. Thank you.